Hi, everyone. We're just going to give it another minute to get to noon. All right, I think we're at noon. So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Tech Tuesday. My name is Vanessa, and today we're going to be talking about our new pronoun tool, as well as a few other diversity, equity, and inclusion features that you may not be aware of that are in tons of apps that you use every single day. I'm also joined today by Megan Sia, who's part of our ITS as part of our research informatics group, but she's also part of the Staff Equity and Inclusion Council. So in a bit, she's going to be talking about why we're doing all this. But since it is Diversity Week, we wanted to show you these features and applications that you can use every day to make sure that everyone is being included in all the work that you do. Before we get started, I wanted to let everyone know that we are recording today's session. So if there's something you miss or something you want to review again with your colleagues, maybe at another point who weren't able to attend today, I'll be sending a follow-up email with a link to this recording, as well as the links to, helpful guides and other things that we talk about, so you know how to use these features. I do have everyone muted just to prevent any background, distractions. But if you have questions at any point during the session, please feel free to just drop a question in the chat. We'll be stopping periodically to make sure that we answer all your questions. And even if you have questions afterward, you can feel free to just drop an email to us and we'll get to you as soon as we can. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Megan. Megan, thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you, Vanessa. All right, so really exciting stuff, but just to build on what Vanessa was saying, yes, I am part of the Staff Equity and Inclusion Council. Specifically, I'm part of a subcommittee on special projects. We have a number of different initiatives. We've actually got an inclusion fair going on in May, so look out for emails about that. But what we want to talk about today is our initiative to expand and improve safe zones for LGBTQ plus support. So Safe Zone is a program that's actually across multiple institutions. There's a lot of different aspects to it that we're not going to get into today, but part of the goal of this initiative is to provide support for the LGBTQ plus community here at Weill Cornell. And one of the ways that we're trying to do that is by promoting the use of gender pronouns, the desired gender pronouns for any individual at Weill Cornell. And with the help of ITS, we were able to implement a change to the personnel directory where now you are able to actually list your desired pronouns there. There's also been a reconfiguration of the Microsoft applications to display pronouns as well. So these are just tools making it easier for people to identify as they desire to going forward. Vanessa, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So why is this even important in the first place? I think that for a lot of people, the discussion about pronouns is relatively recent, that, it's come into mainstream discussion. But obviously, everyone has been using pronouns for their whole known lives. Pronouns are just a part of the English language, but it's only become relatively recently that we've sort of understood as a culture that you can choose pronouns for yourself that reflect your identity. And it's not just polite to do that, it's really important for respectful communication to use somebody's desired pronouns in any sort of interaction. And it's also important to not assume that you know what somebody's pronouns are. There's a very, very large community of transgender and non-binary people in the United States. It's significantly larger in New York than in other states, in fact. for various reasons. So it's very, very likely that a lot of people here may know someone who is transgender or non-binary, or for whatever reason has various pronouns that they wish to be used. And using someone's desired pronouns, that is just an incredibly important element to provide support and respect for another person. And when you don't use the desired pronouns for somebody, then it can be extremely upsetting for that person. The willful non-use of somebody's pronouns has been linked to symptoms of depression, anxiety, all of these horrible experiences for people in the LGBTQ plus community. So we really want to encourage everyone to be respectful and supportive. And that is one of the reasons why we wanted to make the tool available, to make it easier. But obviously, it can feel very, very awkward to try and ask for somebody's pronouns. It might even feel rude to try and have that conversation. So the personnel directory just kind of avoids the need to actually ask that sort of thing. People can self-identify there. It can avoid accidental misgendering, and regardless of how you identify with your gender, it's definitely encouraged for everyone to put their pronouns on their directory, as Vanessa is going to show. It's a really simple process. And this conscientiousness just helps show support for the community, that this is something that we are aware of and that everyone is trying to be conscientious of going forward. And obviously it introduces and increases our ability to have discussions about gender in a non-judgmental community. So without further ado, unless of course somebody has any questions, I think Vanessa can take it away with showing how it works.
Perfect. I don't see any questions yet, but I did see a comment from Nancy Rader, who's part of our brand team, and she just mentioned the email templates, the email generator. I actually plan to go through that in just a bit. I'm not going to show you the pronoun tool, but also other places where you can update pronouns. And I'm going to go into a little bit of accessibility today. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that during Diversity Week. So really quickly, I am going to share my desktop with you. Just to switch over, give me 1 second, bear with me. Let me get this PowerPoint out of the way. And there we go. Okay, so PowerPoint, move out of the way, and let's bring up my browser. Perfect, okay. Let's share that real quick. Megan, could you confirm for me that you can see my directory screen?
Yes, it's coming through clear.
Okay, awesome. So for those of you who have never been to the directory before, welcome to the directory. This is basically a huge database where you can search anybody at Weill Cornell. You can search departments and services as well, and information about those things that you search for will come up. If you search my directory profile, for example, I'm searching for myself, there I am. And you can see my pronouns are right here. Those are the ones that I've selected. And anybody who does update their pronouns, this is how it will appear in their profile. I'll show you how I got to there. And this is entirely optional. But again, as Megan was saying, this is a great way to just include everyone, in discussions and things like that as moving forward. So to update your own directory profile, all you have to do is go to log in to edit profile in the top right. You're just going to be asked to log in with your seaweed and password. If you're outside of the Weill Cornell network, if you're off campus, for example, it will ask you to sign in with Duo just to confirm your identity. But I'm on the network, so we bypass that. And you'll see now that instead of log in to edit profile, you'll actually see my name. You're seeing my name because I'm logged in, but of course, when you log in, you'll see your own. And there's a little arrow next to your name. If you click that, you will see edit profile. So I'm going to log into that really quick. It's going to take a couple seconds to refresh. All right, so this is my profile. And right here, if you scroll down just a little bit, you will see our new gender pronouns section. So if you want to update this, there's just two fields. One is the pronouns field and one is published to. So if you had not actually selected your pronouns yet, this is what you would see. You would see an inquiry asking you to please select. And these are the pronouns that are available for you to choose from. So I would select she, her. That's what I go by. But if for some reason none of these pronouns are applicable to you, all you have to do is go into this instructional area right here, and you'll see a link here that says share your thoughts here. If I click on that, I'm going to be redirected to a survey. This survey goes directly to the Office of Staff Diversity, Inclusion, and Engagement. And right here in this field, you would just list what pronouns you'd like to see added to the gender pronoun section of the directory. You would include that there. You're free to put in any other feedback about the tool that, suggestions, ways we can improve it, anything is welcome. And you just add your first name and how we can contact you, your Weill Cornell email address. Once you hit submit, again, this goes directly to diversity and inclusion for them to, talk with ITS and update the directory. And there's the contact email for staff diversity and inclusion if you do want to follow up on your inquiry. So going back to the directory, once you select your pronouns, if you want to select from the list, you have the option to decide who gets to see this. So there's only two options. And the difference is one includes a public view and the other does not, just institutional. The difference is obviously public. The directory is a public website, so people outside of Weill Cornell can search for people's names in there. And if you'd like your pronouns to be visible to everybody, you can certainly select public. But if you just want to keep it within the institution, you can just select WCM and department. Once you've made your selections, you can scroll down to the bottom of your profile and click Save Changes. Once you do save your changes, I'll let you know that it doesn't happen immediately. It takes just 5 minutes though. And then you can refresh your profile and you'll be able to see your pronouns there. I can search for other people. So for example, I can search for Vanessa, who's our Director of Diversity, Inclusion, and Engagement. And you can see that she has her pronouns listed too, so I would know how to address her in any meetings in the future whenever we meet. So the more people who do this, the more you'll see those pronouns available for you to search within the directory. Now, the directory does feed into many applications across Weill Cornell, such as O365, but there's one important place where this information does not feed into, and that is in your email signature in Outlook. And I can show you how to update that really easily. So if you do want to update the pronouns in your email signature while adhering to our Weill Cornell branding guidelines, all you have to do is go to our brand center. If you're new to it, it doesn't just, it's not just a place for you to update your email signature. It actually has a ton of very useful information and tools about our brand to make sure that you're in compliance with how we use things like our logo, our colors, templates that already are branded to make sure, again, that you're in compliance with those guidelines. So you just have to go to brand.weill.cornell.edu and hit the templates tab right here. This will take you to a new page, and at the very top of all the templates that you could possibly use, you'll see email signature. There are a ton here that I would actually recommend you check out one day, but we're just going to focus on email signature today. And there's some information at the top about the various campaigns that are going on, such as the We're Changing Medicine campaign, the 125th anniversary, things like that. You're free to go through this, but if you just scroll down a little bit, you're just going to see a basic form. And you're going to fill it out with the information that you normally have in your email signature within Outlook. And anything with a red star, a red asterisk is mandatory. You have to fill out your name and obviously. But the third field right here is pronouns. And you just type in whatever you go by, and that will be part of your email signature. Once you've filled out everything, you're going to hit generate signature, and it's going to give you a signature that you're just going to copy and paste within your settings in Outlook. If you've never done that before, it's okay. If you scroll back to the top, there is a link right here with instructions on how to update your Outlook signature settings depending on which version of Outlook you're using. So there's a ton of different versions of Outlook. We've got Windows, we've got Mac. Some people are using Apple Mail. That's okay. This very short instruction sheet shows you where you need to go in your settings to update that signature so that you can include your pronouns from that point forward. And we've got webmail, and I think we've got Android and iOS. So you can update it everywhere and make sure that you've got the Weill Cornell branding across the board. One more place I want to show you. So if obviously you're in Zoom right now, if you hover over my image or even look in the participants window, you'll notice that she, her is in parentheses next to my name. And that's because I've updated my pronouns within Zoom itself, within my Zoom account. And it's really easy to do that as well. If you've never been to your online Zoom profile, it's at weillcornell.zoom.us. You'll be asked to sign in with your seaweed and password. Most people don't go into this, I think, and I feel it's a really useful site to check every once in a while. You can create meetings and things like that from your desktop client or even Outlook, but the actual Zoom online portal gives you access to all the settings that you can possibly have in Zoom to just customize completely how you manage meetings. So once you've logged into weillcornell.zoom.us, you're going to click on the profile menu tab right here on the left. And you'll see that my profile or pronouns rather are already updated at the very top. But the way I got here was hitting the edit button here on the right-hand side. So if I click on that, you'll see I've got some fields, how my name is displayed, for example, within Zoom. I can always change that if I'd like. But right here in this field in particular, you've got pronouns, and you just type in whatever pronouns you'd like to include as part of your Zoom profile online. One other thing that you'd want to consider when you update your pronouns within Zoom is how you want them displayed. And you actually have a few options here. So mine are currently set at always share in meetings and webinars. So anytime I log into Zoom, whether I'm the host or not, my pronouns are always visible when I log into my account. I can also ask Zoom to prompt me every time I log in to Zoom, do you want to show your pronouns in this meeting? And I can say yes or no, and they would display depending on my answer. There's also an option to not share in meetings and webinars, and you might wonder, why would I even include pronouns if I don't display them? Well, there's a little note right here that says pronouns are always visible to your contacts on your profile card. So basically, anytime you log into your Zoom account and people can look up on their desktop client, information about you, those pronouns will always be displayed there. So those are your options within Zoom. You just hit save when you're done. And you might need to log in and out of Zoom again just to refresh those settings so you can see those pronouns. But, you'll be set once you've got it there, and you won't have to redo it again unless you go back into your settings and change them. So that's all about pronouns. If there are any questions, I can check right now. I don't see any. But feel free, Megan, if I'm missing any, let me know. I'm trying to juggle a few. Oh, wait, I think I might see one. Oh, okay, perfect. I just see some comments. All right, so let me move into accessibility features really quickly. I'm going to share my PowerPoint one more time. And
Vanessa, I think we did get a question about adding pronouns to Teams.
Oh, I can share those settings with you. I think that I'd have to see if that's something we have turned on. I think we do, but let me double check. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I can certainly look that up after this session and provide any instructions in the follow-up email so that, if it's available, we can turn that on and, get that set up for you to update your pronouns within Teams. Let me share my PowerPoint really quick. So let's move on to accessibility. So what is accessibility? So we live in a very connected world. We use a lot of different technologies to communicate with each other, to share information. And when we do that, we have to be mindful of what that experience is like for everyone, particularly people with disabilities. So I put a couple of examples to think about. So right now we are having a Zoom meeting, and what is this experience like for people who are deaf or hard of hearing? How would they be able to take part in this meeting? And we've also got a document on the right-hand side, and it's just a plain Word document, but what is that experience like for someone who is blind, colorblind, or has low vision? How would they be able to interpret the document? There are services like screen readers that read information out loud to people who are blind or have low vision. But sometimes those tools can't interpret everything on screen. And there are things that you can do to make that experience a lot easier and make sure everyone's included. So really quickly, I'm going to go back into Zoom to talk about one of those features. But before I do that, I actually want to share my Zoom control so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay. So now when I share my screen, you should be able to see my Zoom settings. Okay. All right. I'm pretty sure you all can see my Zoom screen right now. One thing I did want to talk about is sharing information for people who are deaf or hard of hearing with captions. I actually have captions displaying on screen right now, and you may not know it, but if you go over to the More button right here, there's a little menu item called Captions. And if you click on it, right now I have captions displaying on my end. So it says hide captions. I'm already displaying them. But if you want to see these captions, you can go into your More settings, find the captions option, and then turn them on. I've already set it up to display in the English language, since that's what we're speaking right now. But you can switch it to so many different languages. Here is a very extensive list. I can also even display the full transcript. So if somebody has joined late and they want to catch up on what's been going on, that full transcript will be visible on the right-hand side for people to see. I can also go into my caption settings and play around with things like font size. Maybe I want to make it a little bigger so it's easier to read. I can look at different colors and how they're going to display on screen. I can decide to always show captions. Maybe I just always want captions to be available to make sure that if anybody wants to use it, it's there for them. So I have captions displaying because I am a host and I set that up before I started this meeting. I wanted those captions to be available. If you're a participant and a host has not turned on captions yet, all you have to do, you can still go into the More settings at the bottom of your Zoom window, and you can request captions. That's what you'll see as an option. And what happens is on the host side, they'll get a quick pop-up notification saying, one of your participants wants to turn on captions. Is that okay? And you would just hit okay, and that person would see the captions on screen. You as the host wouldn't see them because you haven't decided to display them, but at least that person who's requested the captions would be able to see them. This is live captioning right now, so it's not 100% perfect. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm trying to speak very clearly. I'm talking into the microphone as loudly as I can, and it's doing a pretty good job of interpreting everything I'm saying live. But if for some reason you're having something like a very large event and you want to have an interpreter, you can absolutely do that within Zoom so that it's a little bit more of an exact interpretation. I'm actually going to really quickly turn on one additional camera because that's the only way it works. I'm actually going to ask, I think, Finesse, I think you are on, but would you mind turning your camera on? Would that be okay? Or is she on? I'm going to ask for a volunteer if they're comfortable turning their camera on, actually, because I need 3 cameras for this.
Yeah, I think Vanessa had to hop off.
No problem. If you want to raise your hand, that would be amazing. I don't actually have to see your face. I just need the camera on. Juliet, thank you. I'm going to turn your camera on, or allow you to turn your camera on. Okay, so Juliet, whenever you have a chance, you can turn your camera on. Thank you, Juliet. I appreciate it. So you have to have a minimum of 3 cameras on, but let's say Juliet is going to be the sign language interpreter for this session. So all I have to do is hover over her video right here. And if I click on these three dots, you're going to see an option called Spotlight for Everyone. That allows her video to be available so that if she was interpreting, it's spotlighted so that everyone can see it. You can spotlight up to 9 people. I can spotlight myself. So I could be talking and Juliet can be next to me and we could just be having, be having a conversation with all of you while she's interpreting. And it's really a great option if you'd like to have an interpreter for a session. 2 people can be highlighted or up to 9. And, it's just something that's available in Zoom that not a lot of people are aware of that I think could be really helpful in many situations. So Juliet, thank you. You can turn off your camera if you want. I appreciate the help. All right, so that's accessibility within Zoom. I want to talk about one more place where accessibility is very, very prominent, and that is within Microsoft. So let me share a document really quick. All right, so you should be seeing this document, and because I've got my Zoom features enabled, I'm going to hide that. So this is a document I have in Word. It's just got a bunch of dummy text on it, but it's about virtual reality. And this just seems like a regular document. I've got text on it. I've got a picture, things like that. But Microsoft has been really great about having accessibility features available within practically all of their applications. So whether you're using Excel, Word, I think it's available in OneNote, PowerPoint, a few applications, very heavily used applications. There's something called an accessibility checker. And what that does is you create your document, then you scan it with the accessibility checker, and it provides you with just a summary of suggestions to make your document more accessible to people. So the accessibility checker is available under review, again, for tons of apps. And I can share that with you in a follow-up email so that you can explore on your own. But I've got this document here. Let's say I'm like kind of ready to send it out, but I want to check it first for accessibility. I click on the accessibility checker, and this window appears on the right-hand side. And it's giving me a couple of suggestions, actually. One is a warning. It's telling me about hard to read text contrast. And if I click on it and expand it, it's actually pointing out this headline I have at the top, exciting developments in virtual reality. And if I scroll down, it actually tells me why it may be an issue. So in this case, text becomes difficult to read when its color is too similar to the color behind it. So it's letting me know that people with low vision or who are colorblind may not even be able to see this headline. And it's giving me steps to fix it. So I can increase the contrast by changing the color of the font or by changing the page color. So in this case, it might make more sense if I just make the text black, and then you'll see that issue went away in the accessibility checker. I've got one more issue. It's saying review auto-generated description. If I expand that, it's the picture. The issue is with the picture. So in this case, there's alternative text in your document that was automatically generated by an intelligent service. So for those who are unfamiliar, alternative text is something that can be added to any image that is displayed on screen. If you are blind or have low vision, a screen reader can't really describe what is on screen when it comes to a picture unless you are giving information about what is being displayed in that picture. So in this case, if I right-click this image and go to View Alt Text, this is what was generated for me, which is actually pretty good. I'm surprised. A person wearing virtual reality goggles. That's the description that they gave. And I can actually update this to be far more descriptive. And you'll see that Microsoft is actually giving me some pointers about what makes a good description for alternative text. So I might say a person wearing virtual reality goggles is standing in front of a television screen that is displaying a model of a brain. And that's far more descriptive than there's a guy wearing a VR headset. That ends up being much more descriptive to somebody who is using a screen reader to go through an entire document. So again, if you go into review and check accessibility, that feature is incredibly helpful for being able to just scan through documents and just do, I mean, is it mandatory to do all this? No, but I think, we're a health institution. It makes sense just to make sure that everybody is included. That's kind of what we do. And this is a really quick way to just go through a document, go through all the suggestions, and, be able to make very simple changes and updates to make that information available to everyone. I'm going to stop sharing because I think I've gone through most of the accessibility features that I wanted to go through, but there are a ton of different features that you can actually go through within Microsoft. They have an entire website that I'll be sending to you that kind of highlights all of the features that they use. If you use something like Microsoft Forms, for example, they actually have little reader icons, speaker icons that you can go through a survey and it reads it out loud to you. I mean, they're really very ahead when it comes to making sure that anybody can access their services. Are there any questions about any of the features that we've gone through, or maybe just about Diversity Week or anything that Megan's discussed today about the SEIC that we can go through for you today? Or anything you want to add, Megan, that I might have missed?
No, you did an amazing job. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks. Well, I'll give it a minute just to see if we have any questions. For those who signed in a little late, again, I am recording this session, so I'll make sure that everyone gets a follow-up email with the recording to this session and a bunch of different links to guides on how to use the accessibility checker, how to update pronouns within the various tools that we talked about, how to do a bunch of stuff in Zoom that you may not realize that you could have done this whole time. Zoom is coming out with new features constantly. So, make sure you're updating your Zoom account and seeing what those features are. They're really trying their best to make it as user-friendly as possible. No question, but a nice comment. Thank you, Yuan. I really appreciate it. If
You
there
did
are,
such a comprehensive presentation. Nobody has any questions. You answered all of them.
I hope so. But if you do have questions after this, if something comes up and you're curious about whether there are pronoun or accessibility features within any of the tools that we use, feel free to reach out. Again, I'm sending that follow-up email, but you can hit reply. And, if I don't know the answer, I probably know someone who knows the answer, so I can get you to the right person. But I want to thank Megan for joining me today. I know Vanessa was on very shortly, and big thanks to Juliet for turning on that camera. I know that that's not always fun for everyone, and I appreciate the assistance. But thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Hope to see you all at another Tech Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.